Hello and welcome to Let's Ask the Angels on Spreaker. I'm your host, Barbara Calvano. It is my honor to serve you with guidance and messages to support you on your path of living with mastery. Hello everyone, it's Barbara Calvano and welcome to Let's Ask the Angels here on Spreaker. It is my honor and privilege to be here today and give you the messages for June 9th through the 15th. And if you're new to me, welcome. I'm an Angel Intuitive Certified Angel Card Reader with Oracle Cards also, and I do some life coaching. I've been doing this podcast since 2013, and I've been doing lots of readings for people and coaching sessions. All of my information is at my website, which is called calvanocoaching.com, and if you subscribe there, you can stay updated with any other events I'm doing besides my podcast, and you can also receive the email that has the photos of the cards for the readings of the week, and also links to the replays, so sometimes that makes it a little bit more convenient for you. So here we are. It is June 9th, tomorrow's June 10th. It is my 36th year anniversary of being married. And I walked by the Limelight, which used to be a church. It used to be a church that had a club back in the 80s and 70s here in New York City. And that's where I met my husband. And it was holding a singles healthy party at that time. And I thought it was about time for me to look for healthy single guys instead of just dating anybody and whoever. And it was an interesting time. After 1 year of being married, because I did meet him there, I got severely depressed. I didn't know why, because I had met the man of my dreams. Kind, gentle, healthy. He had his own business. He's a chiropractor. And yet I got really depressed. And what had happened was it was bringing up things that I needed to look at about myself. So I went to see a therapist. I did get so depressed I was suicidal. I will say that. And I didn't do anything, but I said, these thoughts are not too great. Let me go check out a therapist. And I'm sharing just a little bit about myself today because the angels have always guided me, if not consciously, but just always been there for me to move through obstacles and difficulties. So I found a therapist who I had been working with actually even before I met my husband, and she recommended that I stopped drinking alcohol. And I tell this story sometimes, and for me alcohol was an allergy. It made me depressed, and little did I know, even if I didn't drink every day, it was really holding me back, and it was holding back my ability to have my emotions. I couldn't feel everything. It was almost as if I was afraid to feel certain things. And now alcohol just made me feel a little more relaxed. So that was 35 years ago. So, it shows that getting sober, getting rid of alcohol for me made a huge difference. I no longer got depressed. I took responsibility for the things that I felt instead of always pointing the finger the other way. And that's a huge thing. So to be married 36 years and still be in love with my husband, and it's a wonderful thing. And I've helped clients also move through their relationships, oftentimes getting divorced or just moving on from relationships that don't work. But when I say working with the angels, I really mean finding a way to experience the grace and ease that can be in life. And it doesn't mean it's always easy and graceful. I mean, just like today, my landlord, I had another landlord issue with doing the renovation next door. And I had a horrible experience back in October, so he knows to give us advance notice so I can get out of the apartment. Because as I get more into this angel work, I'm much more sensitive to sounds. So it was supposed to start tomorrow. It ended up starting today, and I wasn't prepared. And so I started to gather all my stuff to go to Starbucks to see if I could work there. Not do my podcast, but I could do some computer work there. And I start walking there, and I'm dealing with a hip issue that most likely I will get a hip surgery replacement probably in August. And for the most part, I've been able to walk. I could not walk. I was in a lot of pain, and mostly from the stress of what's going on. So in terms of living with grace and ease, it wasn't easy to gather my things and to go across the street and realize I could not walk to Starbucks even with my cane today. So I came home, and then I ended up going on my porch. I sat there on my porch, and it was actually quite nice because I have a lot of flowers on my porch, and but then it was too moist because it had just rained, so there's a lot of humidity. So I brought my computer inside, and then later they finally stopped the construction renovation today, and there's the child upstairs, which has been the other issue, noise issue, was like going from room to room, and I'm trying to find a place to do this podcast. So literally I'm taking my computer setup with the microphone from one room to the next, and this has happened before because I know I've talked about it, and I could have easily just given up and said, well, it's not supposed to be. But one of the things I've learned is a type of resilience, a type of accepting that just because something is uncomfortable, and there's a lot in the world right now, doesn't mean we have to stop. It means calling on Archangel Michael, calling on your particular favorite archangel to assist you and just continue moving forward. And it doesn't mean that I'm a saint. And, my newest thing is yelling back at the ceiling, yelling through a wall. Whereas before I was a little too accepting of embracing everything. And my new thing is just let it out. So it's out of my body. It's not going to stay in my hip. It's not going to stay in my joints. And to really stand for myself. And I want to share that with you if that's something that you might be dealing with. It's okay to be passionate in this world. In fact, I think we need more of it. A focused passion with knowing that we are going to move forward with integrity, doing what's right. But also, there are people who are so unconscious around us that sometimes yelling may make a difference. Though sometimes, patience and prayer and in that regard, yes, could work. But sometimes people just need to know that they're unconscious. We don't belabor it. We just say, hey, we just need to let you know it's not okay, the sounds that you're making. So here I am now, and it was an exhausting day. And tomorrow's another one. They're going to do more construction, but at least they took down the wall, which felt like they were going to burst through the wall into our apartment. But I share this because the grace and ease, it was not all just like nothing. It was a tremendous amount of intentionality. Taking a breath. Now which way I'm going to go. Because what I've noticed lately in my life and in the world, day to day, there are more and more obstacles and distractions being put in our way. Even checking out the news today, June 9th, particularly getting a little, I was going to say crusty. It's a little bit much. But it's important for us to stay in alignment with the things we care about. Whatever that you're doing, that you know that when you fulfill, you complete, you feel better about yourself. And when you feel that way, that's a good energy to emanate into the world. And one of the things I saw is that I don't necessarily have to have everything perfect before I do a podcast or before I do a drawing or painting or how the day is going to go. And sometimes the day is going to be completely surprising with a lot of unexpected changes left and right. And we will always, as long as you're alive, you're going to be human, you're going to have an ego, you're going to get upset. And to wait until everything is smooth and perfect is not going to happen. And it may be a long time before we have that even sense, even in our world. So it's so important to find those moments, even if they're 5 minutes, 10 minutes, within yourself. Finding a way to find that thing that just gives you a sense that you're okay, that everything's going to be all right. It really is self-created. And we are connected to divinity, to the spiritual side, but we have free will, and And we begin that conversation, begin that creation of how it's going to go. And so important. And so working with the angels teaches us to be unstoppable, fearless, or have the fear and do it anyway. Be pissed off. Be able to claim what we're pissed off about, be clear, and then move on and get into action. So, and sadness. The other day I had the deepest sadness. It was the first time I cried about knowing that I'm finally going to have hip surgery. And for me, it's a big deal. I've never had it before, and I was keeping everything inside of me because my husband was going through a second surgery that he needs for his back. It's a what do you call, non-hospital surgery, so he's in and out. But it's still a lot. It's a lot. And if you're going through those type of things where it's a family issue or a work issue or health issue, it's so easy to feel that we can be so disappointed, so sad, so upset, and really focus on that one thing instead of like taking it along, embracing it, finding out what we need to do. Like I listened to hip replacement surgery videos today on what I could do to help myself to prepare for it. And there's always something that we can do to help ourselves, which makes us feel like a better human being, and we can embrace the world. And that's about it. I'm so grateful that I followed my therapist's advice 37 years ago, met my husband, followed the instructions I needed to do to take care of my health, find ways to cope with all the things that came up after I stopped drinking, which was mostly about the inability to, again, use my voice. And also I had trauma issues I didn't know that were deeply hidden. And one of the things I learned is that the universe only gives you what you can handle. It's an interesting phrase. But what if, no matter how difficult something is, that we have the capacity to take it on? May we make it perfect? No, but we can hold it and find a new perspective, which I talked about in last week's reading. Find a new way to look at it so that it doesn't become heavy upon us and have us feel depressed or paralyzed, or so angry that we cannot take an action. So no matter what situation you are in your life right now, I have a good friend who found out she had cancer. I may have mentioned it last week. I'm not sure. She has two. She has a lung cancer that metastasized into brain cancer. That's a lot. I have another friend whose husband fell ill immediately from a heart attack, and he died. He was dead within 24 hours. The C word, cancer, seems to be around a lot. And there are things that we can do to help us take better care of our immune system. There are things that we can do to change that. There are things we can do, mind, body, spirit, to support that. But so life is filled with so many different things. And it's really great to connect with the divine, to remind us we're not alone. We're surrounded not only by 100,000 angels on our left and our right, in front of us, behind us, but also we have our guardian angels. We can work with the elementals, which is from nature. We can work with the fairies, through the parks and flowers and gardens, the fire dragons, the regular dragons, unicorn energy, which is high vibrational energy. And there's so many things that we can do. And that's what's really great about opening ourselves up to connecting to a power bigger, larger than ourselves, and however we want to name it. So let me go with the reading for today. I was guided to use, because it is June, Roses, the Rose Oracle by Rebecca Campbell. I've come back to her deck, and it talks a lot about how we are, if we can see everything as a beginning from a seed, and how it can bloom into something beautiful, and not just physically beautiful, but in a sense of, could we even embrace all of our flaws, all of the things in our life that's not perfect, as it is, exactly the way it is, and even in the world, be able to hold it all. And if we can't see the beauty in it, we could see the magnificence that we are alive, And I assert and I say that as long as we are alive, we have the protection and support of our angels and our higher power to help us through to the next thing, to the next difficulty in any aspect of our lives. And that includes being hopeful, regaining that spark again in our lives. And even before I go into the reading, the Tony Awards were on last night, and I have worked as a stand-in, a rehearsal performer, actor on that show for like over 20 years. And it was great to be on the stage at Radio City Music Hall, especially the Sunday morning rehearsal. So the audience is filled with 4,000 people. And to be able to stand on the stage and to improvise speeches and to have a lot of fun and be with the stars and everything. And I never would have gotten to that if I hadn't gotten sober, if I hadn't listened to my angels say to get well, and then to start acting at age 40. And then I started booking work, and just I was being pushed more and more mostly to enjoy life, because so much of my life before that, being sober, was just so harsh and so difficult. And that's what totally bloomed and blossomed for me. But I have memories of that, and now I have ideas for writing my own play and even a musical. So I have ideas, and I actually have the energy inside of me, and the incredible connection to the joy of making something, even if nothing comes of it. But that's returned to me, and I'm so grateful for that. So here I am sharing with you the messages for June 9th through the 15th. And I have here the attunement card from Rebecca Campbell's booklet. And here it goes. Mother Rose, you are who were present long before we, and you who will continue after we've gone. Bless the oracle and all who use it. May it be a gateway for all to return to ourselves, the earth, and each other. May our connection with the voice of our soul be made stronger with every use. May all who touch, feel, cherish, held, loved, softened, and seen. May it deliver insight, understanding, compassion, and guidance that's in the highest interest of all beings, past, present, and future. When I'm holding space for another, help me to step out of my way and invite others to connect with the wisdom that exists deep within them. Guide me and all who use it, these cards today. Embrace our ever-changing true nature and the seasons of our lives with compassion, understanding, and grace. Show us how we can plant ourselves here more deeply than ever before. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And that is from the Rose Oracle, just kind of like a blessing before we get into these cards. So the first card, and again, the pictures, the photos will be here at the Spreaker website, but also at my on mine at bcalvanocoaching.com, because sometimes looking at the images gives you another connection, and it helps you develop your intuition. As you hear a reading and get a sense of it, you will start to pick up your own messages, your own signs that are particular for you. So here we go. Okay. Oh, here we go. The Fertile Void is the first card, and this is something that we've been going through already. Inner winter, rest, patience, potency, secret beginnings. This is a very auspicious card. It holds the potent golden seeds of a new beginning and the aftermath of an end. We're called to have patience and enter a state of deep rest, repair, regeneration, and acceptance. To let a part of our lives, or even who we once were, metaphorically, die in order to seed, sprout, bud, and bloom again. There's often a letting go, a grief or mourning involved, a death of self or what once was, the ending of things that were once important, relationships, jobs, identities, ways of being. The fertile void asks that we honor endings to begin again. It's a crucial part of growth, and new isn't possible without it. And before I go on, this is something that I've learned. It's so part of working with the angels. It's so important to have a sense that you can begin at any second, any minute. You can start over. You can just start over. For no reason, you can just start over. And instead of waiting 6 months or a year, or 3 years, you can just shift, literally just shift. It's like changing a channel, on a cable TV or something. You just change a TV channel. Just shift. You are totally in a new space, in a new universe. You can shift that powerfully instead of waiting, because it is really about us choosing to shift. It's not anymore about when everything around us looks like something. We create that vision within ourselves, and we move. We literally move from one moment to the next and accept that we are totally different in that next moment. In the card, you can see the golden seed cradled in the dark, fertile womb of the soil. It's easy to mistake this phase of growth as one where nothing much is happening, but beneath the surface of the winter soil, things have never been more active. Winter is a phase of initiation, renewal, and rebirth. When we're going through a period of inner winter, we experience this too. We metaphorically go underground by coming to a standstill and allowing ourselves to recover and rest. We don't realize it, but that is the most important part of our growth. And it takes faith and surrender to do it. Trust the sureness of the soil. The new is being woven without you having to micromanage every move. Trust the sureness of the soil. Be cradled by the great mystery. This is a very tender, powerful time. How can you surrender into the great mystery? That's the first card. So again, surrender. Interesting word. Some people think you lose, but actually when you truly surrender, you gain everything. The next card is Rapture, and it says sensuality, love, devotion, romance, ecstasy, pleasure. Flora is the ancient Roman goddess of spring and flowers. In one myth, she was struck by Cupid's arrow and overwhelmed by love and completely breathless. In a moment of rapture, she called forth for Eros. However, the sound rose came out of her mouth instead. So rose became another word for Eros, and it also became the symbol for love, beauty, and passion. Many patriarchal religions have placed a shameful cloak around sensuality, sex, pleasure, ecstasy, rapture, and sexuality. Most of the most natural, pleasurable parts of life has become conditional and judged. The rose wants us to heal from this and to remember that pleasure, sensuality, sexual preference, and expression of desire can be some of the most sacred, miraculous things about being a human on earth, no matter what age you are. So this card comes with a message about receiving and giving love and pleasure. Flora wants you to know that your sensuality, your passion, and your sexuality, no matter how you identify, are sacred and holy. She wants you to connect with your essential true nature and to celebrate this in all people. And the rose transmission for this card is, my sensuality is sacred and holy. Other people's sensuality is sacred and holy. I open myself up to express and receive love in a way that feels safe and good for me. I release painful programming and experiences and return to love. And that's the second card. And here, in New York City and all around the world, we celebrate Pride Month. So this really does include everybody. And roses also, I'm guided to share about the white rose. So if there's some energy you want to clear in your home, you need a little extra clearing of lower energy. It could be anything. The white rose is so powerful. You can get yourself one or several white roses to put in your home, or even a picture of the white rose works just as well. And it's a powerful way to clear, like cut cords of lower energy. You'll just feel better with that. And then the third card we have here of what we're really walking into is healing the mother line. Healing ancestral work, mother line, growing up. We're living in a time of complex healing, especially when it comes to the mother line. Collectively, we're facing the intergenerational trauma that colonialism and patriarchy have imprinted on us. So many were born to mothers who were not mothered themselves. It's time to mend the chain. So many of our ancestral lines have experienced brutal persecution and separation from the sacred feminine. We've been starved of the great mother's unwavering embrace and instead told to look only to a male god in the sky. So many were not taught to see the sacred in all things and the feminine in all, her stages as sacred, powerful, and holy. This way of living has gone on for far too long, and we're all being called to heal it on behalf of our ancestors, past and emerging. So healing is possible. So for many of us, this may concern with our immediate biological mother. It also could be generations of women that we've had in our lives. So all the emotions that come with that. And it is powerful. And it's powerful to see how just when it looks like everything's being attacked and we're going back to the 1950s again in parts of the world here, even the United States, the feminine is rising. And so you can be a male and still have the feminine part of you that needs to be balanced and rise. And what that could very well mean is just allowing your vulnerable side to be there just as strong as the other side, the strong side. Healing is possible. It may not be straightforward or easy, but it's possible. It can be felt forward and back. Your ancestors past and forward are singing with you. It's time to release our mothers all the way back for what they may not have been able to give. To find a way to cultivate the loving mother within. To treat ourselves with the same deep reverence, adoration, understanding, and compassion that we longed for all along. You can be that for yourself today. You can meet yourself where others could not. And as you do, future ancestors will bless you for finding the courage to release and heal deep. And the rose transmission for this card is, I reach all the way back to the original mother, and I set all the mothers and myself free. And I want to share a little bit what healed for me recently, because when I coach people and I do readings, I help you understand that messages and signs are showing up all around. And that those alchemical interactions are all around us. We just have to be ready and open. And it could be something like I saw on Netflix, something that you see, a sign on a bus, something that flashes through your email or something. Once you embark on what you're asking from your heart to heal, the answers are all around us. And sometimes it helps to work with a therapist or coach or have a session, like an in-depth reading. But the messages of shift to help you shift, as I was talking about earlier, are all around us. So I'm watching The Turning Point, two shows on Netflix, and I don't usually look at these type of things, but I'm watching The Bomb and the Cold War, which is also about Hiroshima, the bombing of Japan. I'm part Japanese. I was born there. My mother's Japanese. My father is Scotch-Irish. And the other one is about the Vietnam War. And I lived in Tokyo during the Vietnam War, and as a child I knew that something was off. I knew that it did not have integrity, that many people were dying for needlessly. So watching that, the Vietnam War, it helped me to validate that what I was feeling all these years was in fact true and that was accurate. As I was hearing more and more details of information that has come forward now about that time period. And then the other one about the bomb, I never let myself look at Pearl Harbor and then the bombing of Hiroshima and Nagasaki, the dropping of the atomic bomb. It was too painful for me. I didn't know that I was blocking it. I couldn't let myself feel. I felt confusion. I felt so many different emotions. And by watching this particular show, there were people coming forward and sharing their thoughts and feelings. Survivors, Japanese people. And one of them shared that even today she had survived the bombing in Hiroshima, and she survived. But to this day, in 2025, when it's humid and it rains in the summer, you can actually smell the effects of the war, what had happened to all the bodies. And in that moment, I let myself feel the trauma of all of that had happened, the embarrassment of being Japanese. I couldn't embrace my dignity and glory of being Japanese. I could not. And I just joined the forces of people that were just human. They just told how it was. It was not great. And it was something we never talked about in my family. And that helped me. I mean, my first boyfriend at the age of 16, I went over to his house, a beautiful white guy who looked like Tom Cruise at the time. And the first question his parents asked me was, well, what are your thoughts about Pearl Harbor? And that definitely it was not great. And at that moment, I had made my mind, even though I was going to date this guy, he's never going to go. This is not something I wanted in my future. I did not want that energy. So I share this because we're all complex people. We have different backgrounds, different histories, different connections to things that have happened in the world. And sometimes there are moments where we could not let it all in. It's just too much. And I can honestly say I felt freer and more myself when I could understand that I could also look at the show on Vietnam in Saigon, where they were putting all the people who wanted to leave on helicopters. And at one point, they did not have any more helicopters to come. The people who wanted to flee Saigon as it was ending the war. And there were Vietnamese people who looked like me, who looked like my brothers and my mother, who had worked for the U.S. government. And they had the paperwork, and they worked for them for years. But they were told, we can't take you. And I actually felt that way all my life, like I was left out because I was not all American, that I wasn't pure white. And that's a lot just about my own life, my own ancestral connections. And they're all healing. They're all healing because I'm able to look it in the eye and experience the sadness, the disappointment, the tragedy. That's the word. So today I feel good. In fact, I feel like I could write my own story. I could write these different things that I've been thinking about for a long time. And lastly, I met Gloria Steinman, the publisher of Ms. Magazine back in the 70s, and I had said to her, you don't have enough articles about Asian people in your magazine, Asian women. And at that time, it was like 1979, she said to me, well, I guess you're going to have to write it. And I still haven't, but it's never too late. So those are the things that I've been going through with the assistance of the angels to help give me back those little fractured pieces of myself that give me so much more clarity that when I look in the mirror, I can feel the energy coming back to me that I'm whole and complete. Because it was easy for me to go through life and hide so many of these feelings and emotions and just kind of get through life, park all those incidences and those things that I felt when I was younger. It helps that I am sober and that I learn so much by being conscious and aware every second of my life. I learn I can hold all of those emotions and connect better with humanity. So that's the reading for the week. If you have any questions, feel free to contact me, email me. And if you're ready to have your own session, of 1 hour session with me, where we go through 10 cards, we go through different aspects of your own connections to angels and what you're up to in your life right now, you can book that at my website, bcalvanocoaching.com. And we will see you next week then. Have a glorious, glorious day.